Hey guys, today we are going to ink this hand lettered cover for my upcoming mini 31 Days Under the Waves. I went ahead and printed the blue lines onto the paper. If you're looking for a tutorial on how to print blue lines or why you should print blue lines, head on over to the blog at natosuit.blogspot.com. Blue lines are a handy dandy guideline for your comics, for your lettering, for your drawings, and they are well worth considering because when you scan them, you can drop the blues. So I'm going to get started by penciling these blue lines, tightening up my letters, and then inking over them with a combination of a nib and several brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll do the pencil in time lapse. Okay guys, from this point on, the tools we're going to be using are a container of clean water, some dinky dips, one of which is filled with Kuretake Sume Ink 60, just because that's what I have on hand and open, and I like to try to use what I have. We have a Tachikawa nib holder with a G nib inside, and then I have a selection of Kolinsky sable brushes, some of which do not quite hold a point as well as they should. That is my fault, not theirs. This one might actually be a synthetic. A piece of scrap paper, and of course the piece we're going to be lettering. So I'm going to start out with a bang, and we're going to do that 31 first. And my dinky dip looks like it's going to need a refill. They do hold some ink, but not a huge amount. They have larger ink little pots available, and I got mine from Paper and Ink Arts, which I highly recommend you guys check out. For my Nashville viewers, they are located right off of Rosa L. Parks, but I think they just moved. So let's go ahead and get started. And a caveat, I am not a calligrapher. This is not modern calligraphy. This is not traditional calligraphy. This is just a cover for one of my minis that I highly recommend you guys check out. And this mini is in black and white, so I'm going to go ahead and do the cover in black and white inks. Well, I guess just black ink on white paper. And right now I'm inking with a size 4 Creative Mark Rhapsody Kolinsky sable brush, which is available from Jerry's Artorama. And I really like inking with these. They are an affordable but still excellent option if you find that the Series 7 is too expensive for you, or if you have pets that are destructive or kids who want to use your brushes for their watercolors. These are a great alternative. And you can often find their brushes, their store brand brushes, which is what this is, on sale. now, while that dries, we're going to attempt the waves part. Unfortunately, my desk is just way too tight to really do a very good job of this. So I should be inking from my... You know what? I'm actually going to go grab a hairband because this is ridiculous. I just got a haircut and the hair is all up in my face. All right, let's try this again. At least I won't be constantly stopping to shove bangs behind my ear. All right, that's passable. The more room you give yourself to work, the easier it's going to be to pull some of those lines. So don't be like me. Give yourself plenty of room so you can pull from your shoulder rather than your wrist or even your elbow. Because the more room you give, the more control you're going to have. Okay, switching over now to the G-nib. And in case you're wondering, I am inking all of this on Canson Biggie XL watercolor paper. Oh, railroading. And some of you guys are probably possibly thinking borderline disparaging thoughts about my lettering. Well, to be honest, it isn't just letterists or calligraphers who do hand lettering. Comic book artists do as well. Although our intentions are very different. So while I want something decorative, I also wanted something legible, since this is going on the cover of a mini comic. And I know that hand lettering is very much in vogue right now, especially on Instagram. And I think that's great, but I just want those of you who may have found this video through other means to understand that, you know, like I said, it isn't just letterists who utilize hand lettering. Quite a few comic artists do still hand letter their own stuff. And this is going to be much smaller in the final version. It's going to be the cover of an 8.5 by 5.5 mini comic. So a lot of the imperfections that are very glaring to you and I right now will not be visible at all, or I will have gone to pains to correct them. And now I'm using a very small Creative Mark Rhapsody. I'm using a size 0 brush. And brushwork does take some getting used to. It takes a lot of practice, so it's okay if your first attempts don't look the way you want them to. That's what they make Copic Opaque White and Signo White for. And while I would have liked to have gotten it done in one piece without having to do corrections, it does seem like corrections are in my future. But that was because I insisted in working in a workspace that was too small for my project. Alright, so while that dries, I will go ahead and actually fix that clamshell because I really don't like it. And I'm going do that by making its little spines a little bit fatter, then filling it in. And I'll go back later and add details with opaque white. And yes, I could have designed a cover for this mini comic in Photoshop. It might have even been easier. I can't say I wasn't tempted. But there's something that, you know, it just meshes so much better when you design and letter a cover in traditional media. Especially since the mermaids inside were all inked using traditional media. Alright. So now I need to allow this to dry. Then I can go back and letter days and under the, and maybe do some special effects. Alright guys, so some of my lettering here at the bottom is still wet, so we're going to have to work carefully around it, but it seems like everything else is dry. So next I want to letter days, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a size 1 Creative Mark Rhapsody. Zoom in for you guys a bit. Oh man, of course I would immediately get the paper dirty. I don't even have anything on my hands. Wow, that's okay because I'm going to let all this cure overnight before I erase, and I'll do my corrections tomorrow. And allowing things to dry overnight, if you do have the time to do so, helps prevent ghosting and your ink from lifting up off the paper because you've given it a chance to fully cure. And we're actually going to switch over to a B nib to letter this last part. And the reason we're switching over to a B nib is a fixed width nib. So it's going to give me a single weight. And fixed width nibs can be very useful for hand lettering. So we'll just go ahead and remove the G nib, place it with the B nib. Actually need to add some ink. It's not writing quite as smoothly as I would like. Getting a lot of sort of skipping. Of course, that is my fault. I am using a watercolor paper. If you guys want to know a secret, for you guys, I would have taken the really cheap and lazy way out and lettered this with a brush pen, a Fude pen, and a technical pen. So, doing these videos for you guys helps me utilize the things I'd been taught. That's just gonna have to be good enough until we can make some corrections tomorrow. I am gonna go and fix that S though. So I'm sure some of you have also noticed that the ink applied with a brush dries quicker than the ink applied with a nib. And that is because, for the most part, the nib is making a deposit of ink. So it's a much thicker application than you're getting with a brush, where you're kind of painting the ink on. It's another reason why we want to give this plenty of time to dry overnight, so even the thickest parts can dry and be ready for tomorrow. So I will see you guys then, where we're going to add some white, maybe do some special effects, erase our pencils, and clean things up a bit. I'll see you guys then. Bye! Hey! Hey guys, good morning. So, this has had a chance to dry overnight, and I'm just going to go ahead and use a soft white vinyl eraser to remove the stray pencil lines. Now, after letting your inks dry overnight, if you're still having a problem with ghosting, you may want to take a look at the eraser you're using. I highly recommend soft white vinyl erasers. They're great. They don't damage the paper. They don't cause a lot of smearing. You can find a Pentel high polymer white eraser. Those are sold pretty much everywhere, including Walmart. I like mono erasers, both the green packaged non-PVC, as well as these older blue, white, and black PVC, including white erasers. And they're really not expensive. If you're using pink erasers, pink pearl erasers, those are gritty and they will lift up your ink. All right, so now that that's erased, I need to go dig up my drafting brush and brush away the eraser shavings because I don't want my white ink getting caught up in those. Okay, now that that's handled, I am going to make some room since I was working on a different project earlier today and I should have grabbed clean water. I did not. As you guys can see, I was inking and that's looking pretty gross and pretty muddy. Turn with my clean cup of water and I'm going to use the Copic Opaque White to make some corrections. And the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of that spot right there. I'm also making some slight corrections to the shape of the pearls. And I'm sorry, my hands are a little shaky today. It is Wednesday, November 9th, so I think some of you guys can tell why. And I want to grab a sheet of paper. To act as a mask because I'm going to, sorry, I tripped. When I tell you guys my workspace is just way too tight, I'm not kidding. It is way too small. I'm going to go ahead and mix up some opaque white with some water because I'm going to do a spattering on the 31 days. I'm going to try. I'm going to have to wash all my inking and watercolor brushes out really good after this because ink can ruin a good watercolor brush and opaque white left in the brush can ruin a good watercolor brush. So it might be an excellent time to pull out your old Masters brush soap and clean, clean, clean. And I'm going to also tighten up these letters that were a little rough with the fixed width nib. I really wish my hands weren't shaking today. Okay, so we are pretty much done with this. We can go back into the black if we want and darken up that one spine on the seashell. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, it is a pleasure having you here with me in my studio. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more like it, make sure you hit subscribe. I update this channel twice a week with arty content like this. If you like what you see here and you'd like to know more about 31 Days Under the Waves, you can head on over to my shop, nattosoup.com/products, where I will have copies of the mini comic available for purchase. By purchasing my mini, you are helping to support this channel. It's just another way that you can help support content like this and help keep me making art. So again, if you enjoyed watching me do this or enjoyed watching any of my Inktober videos, purchasing a copy of 31 Days Under the Waves, either in physical form or through my Gumroad, which is gumroad.com/nattosoup, is an excellent way to acquire some cool stuff and still support this channel. If you are going to see me at any convention in 2017, or if you're going to be at Noka's Fest in New Orleans, please make sure you swing by my table and tell me hi, flip through my things, you know, just generally let me know that you're a viewer. It's always very rewarding for me when you guys come and talk to me in person and make time to visit me. So, you know, that is always really appreciated. You don't need to be shy. I do not bite at all. If you enjoyed this video, I would highly recommend you take a moment to share it with your friends via social media. That is another fantastic way to help support this challenge, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Another way you can help support this channel is by watching at least 30 seconds of each ad that precedes videos like these. Artists and creators do not get paid unless you watch at least 30 seconds of the ad. So you doing that is a great way to help contribute to this channel. Finally, if you would like to become a member of my art nerd community, head on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/nattosoup. We're in the process of revamping a lot of things to make the Patreon even better for you guys. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I would love to hear them. So thank you so much for hanging out with me in my studio today. I hope I see you guys again really soon. Bye!